Hi class, today we're looking at Chapter 5, Lesson 6, Graphing Proportional Relationships. Our essential question is how to determine whether two quantities are proportional. So for example, the cost of renting a video game from Games Inc. is shown in the table. Determine whether the cost is proportional to the number of games rented by graphing on the coordinate plane. Explain your reasoning. So in our first step, we're going to make a data table. So in this case, we have our data table. We know that the first value is our x value. So these represent x, the 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the second, the cost, represents our y value. So in other words, these are our ordered pairs. 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 7, and then 4, 9. Now, in step 2 and 3, we're going to graph the ordered pairs and label the coordinate plane. So in this case, we know that the coordinate plane is made up of two axes. We have the x and the y. We also know that the bottom value deals with the number of games. And then the y-axis deals with the cost in money. The next part, we can graph our ordered pairs. So as we saw previously, our first ordered pair is 1, 3. So I'm going to go to the right one, and I go up 3, and I plot my point. Then I'm going to plot 2, 5, so I'm going to go to the right 2, and I go up 5, plot my point there. And then I have 3, 7, so I'm going to go to the right 3, and I go up 7, plot my point. And finally, 4, 9, I'm going to go to the right 4, and I'm going to go up 9 and plot my point. Now that I plotted all my points, I realize that I can draw a line that connects all these points together. But there is something that I did realize as well, is that this line does not go through the origin. Because if I were to set up my ratio of 3 to 1 and then 5 to 2, and I were to divide by the 2, I'd end up with 2.5 to 1. So my unit rate is not consistent. And since it is not consistent, the answer would be no, this is not proportional. Go ahead and turn your notes over to the back side now. Now, on this got it problem, we have to create our data table and then we have to graph. So James earns $5 an hour babysitting. Determine whether the amount of money James earns babysitting is proportional to the number of hours he babysits by graphing on the coordinate plane. Explain your reasoning. So in this case, we know that if he is babysitting and earning $5 an hour, so for the first hour, we already know he earns $5. Now, for hour 2, we have 5 times 2, which would be $10. Then we have 5 times 3, and that would be $15. And finally, 5 times 4, and that would be $20. So we know that there's a constant of $5, meaning that the equation would be 5x. So in this case, we know that it is a constant rate. So when I go to plot my point, it's going to be 1, 5. So I start at 1 and I go up to the 5, which is between 4 and 6. And then I'm going to plot 2, 10, 3, 15, and then finally 4, 20, which would be someplace around here. And I realized that because it does have a constant rate of 5 to 1, because I know that 10 over 2 reduces to 5 to 1, and then we have 15 to 3, which also reduces to 5 to 1, and then of course 20. And of course 20 over 4 reduces to 5 to 1. So since they all reduce to 5 to 1, I know that there is a constant rate, and the line should be a straight line. And it's going through each one of these points, and it actually goes through the origin. So then my answer would be yes, this is proportional. because it does have the same unit rate and it goes through the origin. All right, for question number 2, the table shows the number of calories an athlete burned per minute of exercise. Determine whether the number of calories burned is proportional to the number of minutes by graphing on the coordinate plane. Explain your reasoning. So in this case, we know that these are our x values, these are our y values. Now go ahead, take a couple minutes and do this problem on your own. Find the ordered pairs, plot them, and then determine whether or not you have a proportional relationship. Now in question 3, the cost of 3D movie tickets is $12 for one ticket, $24 for 2 tickets, $36 for 3 tickets. Determine whether the cost is proportional to the number of tickets by graphing on the coordinate plane. Explain your reasoning. So first we need to label what we are looking at. So the first one would be the number of tickets. And then the second part would be the cost per ticket. So now I know that for the first ticket, it's $12. For the second ticket, it would be $24 for 2, and then for 3 tickets, it would be $36. So when I go to graph it, I have 1, 12, plot my point. Then I have 2, 24, and then finally 3, 36. And when I draw my line, I do realize that it is constant because it does have a rate of 12 to 1. Because 24 over 2 also reduces to 12 to 1, and then 36 over 3 also reduces to 12 to 1. So since they all have the same unit rate, I would then say yes, this is proportional. Now in this last question, the number of books 2 stores sell after 1, 2, and 3 days is shown. Which book sale represents a proportional relationship between time and books? Explain. So looking at the 2 lines, you need to determine which one is proportional. Make sure you give as much detail as possible why it is proportional and using mathematical reasoning.